All right, so are you ready to dive into some thriller fiction with this book, Tenure by Blaine Pardoe and Mike Barron?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be quite a ride.
We've got excerpts here.
Yeah.
And looks like our mission is to get people intrigued enough to add this to their reading list.
Right, and make
Yeah.
them want to read the book without giving away any
Yeah, no spoilers.
of the big spoilers.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a fun challenge.
Yeah,
And this book, from what I'm seeing here, it doesn't just promise thrills,
right.
but it seems to tap into some pretty raw nerves in our culture right now.
Yeah, it's like ripped from the headlines a little bit.
Absolutely.
This Braxton Knox character.
Yeah, Braxton Knox.
History professor at Eastern State University.
Uh-huh.
That sounds like a very woke university.
Yeah, your classic kind of woke university.
And he does not seem to be fitting in.
He is definitely a fish out of water.
Yeah.
I mean, refusing to use preferred pronouns.
Yeah.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
You can practically feel the tension building as the student secretly films him.
Oh,
And it just sets off this whole chain reaction.
it's like a slow motion train wreck.
It is. It's like, it's coming, but you can't
Yeah.
look away.
And they took this whole cancel culture thing and they just turned it up to 11.
Oh, yeah.
But what really got me was how this conflict spills into Braxton's personal life.
Right.
The vandalism,
Mhm.
the threats, even hints of something tragic happening to his wife.
Yeah.
It gets dark fast.
It does get dark fast. And what's really interesting is that it's not just a simple good guy fights back narrative.
Yeah.
This is more than just an action thriller.
Right.
It's a deeper struggle for survival, and not just for Braxton, but for his daughter, too.
Yeah.
We're talking going off the grid, learning survival skills.
Yeah.
There's even a scene where he's teaching his daughter how to shoot.
Okay, see, that's where I was like, hold on.
Right.
This is getting really interesting.
Yeah.
Now, we're not just talking about a guy who's been wronged. There's a darker side to him that's emerging.
Yeah.
He's willing to bend the rules,
Uh-huh.
takes matters into his own hands.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how far he'll go.
Right, and that's really what makes this so compelling.
Yeah.
The excerpts touch on the limits of the legal system,
Right.
like how sometimes it fails to deliver the justice that people crave.
Yeah.
And there are even hints of corruption within law enforcement. It really makes you question, who can Braxton really trust?
Yeah, and there's this one little detail
Yeah.
that I thought was really interesting where he's tempted to go to a bar, have a drink,
Right.
but he stops himself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a tiny moment,
Yeah.
but it reveals so much about his character.
I know exactly what you mean. It's those little details,
Yeah.
that just draw you in.
His discipline or maybe some past struggles.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to know more about this guy?
Yeah.
And the setting itself, it feels like a character. The excerpts paint this really vivid picture of the tension on campus, those
Right.
ideological clashes.
Yeah.
There's that scene where Braxton is giving a lecture on World War I,
Oh, yeah.
and you can practically feel the judgment radiating off the
You
student.
can feel it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's palpable.
And it's like history has become this battleground in the culture war.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like history is the new front line.
Yeah, and Braxton even reflects on being accused of racism simply for being a white man teaching history.
Right, just for existing.
Yeah,
It's like a thought crime now.
it's crazy. And you can practically feel him suffocating under the pressure to conform,
Uh-huh.
to apologize for his views.
Yeah.
It's clear he's a man on the verge.
On the verge of a breaking point.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for him to snap.
Yeah, and these excerpts, they leave us right at that precipice.
They do.
He's facing this disciplinary committee, and you just know he is not going down without a fight.
No, he is not.
There's this line where he tells the committee, if you think I'm going down without a fight, you're wrong.
Chills.
Yeah.
Gives me chills just thinking about it.
And that's what makes the ending of these excerpts so powerful,
Yeah.
is this incredible sense of anticipation.
Right.
What's he going to do?
Exactly.
How far is he willing to go?
How far will he go?
And what I thought was really interesting is we get these glimpses of his life
Yeah.
before everything went sideways.
Oh, yeah.
Like these quiet moments with his family, his routine,
It humanizes him.
Yeah.
It makes the stakes feel even higher when it all starts to unravel.
It's not just some abstract conflict.
No.
It's the destruction of a man's life, his family, his whole world.
Right.
And that scene where he's reading The Lord of the Rings to his daughter.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a simple, loving moment.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's so poignant.
And it makes the contrast with the darker events even more striking.
It's like the calm before the storm. And then, boom, we're in the basement, and he's teaching his daughter to shoot.
I know, right? Talk about a turning point.
Things are about to get real.
It's like he's accepting that the world has changed,
Right.
that the old rules no longer apply.
Uh-huh.
And he's preparing his daughter for that new reality
Yeah.
where they might have to fight to survive.
It makes you wonder, what kind of man does Braxton become in this new world?
Yeah.
Does he embrace the darkness, or does he find a way to hold on to his humanity?
And, these excerpts are just full of those kinds of questions.
Yeah, thought-provoking.
Like the author is constantly poking at you, making you confront your own beliefs about justice,
Right.
about what you would do in these extreme situations.
And there's this growing sense of isolation
Yes.
that surrounds Braxton.
Uh-huh.
He feels betrayed by the university, by law enforcement, even by some of his colleagues.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, who can he really trust?
Right.
Is he truly alone in this fight?
And then there's this whole mystery surrounding his past,
Right.
his time in the Army.
Yeah, we just get these little hints.
Little hints that maybe he has a more action-packed background than he lets on.
Right.
He was a typist, sure.
Okay, but what else did he do?
What
What else did he do?
What other skills did he learn?
Yeah.
And how might that past be coming back to haunt him now?
Yeah, and there's this one scene where he has this tense encounter with the police after his house is vandalized.
Yeah.
And you can just see the frustration on his face, this feeling that he's not being taken seriously.
Like he's being dismissed.
Yeah. And it really highlights this theme of systemic failure
Right.
that runs through these excerpts.
The institutions that are supposed to protect him are failing him.
He feels betrayed by the very institutions that are supposed to protect him.
Exactly.
And then somebody tries to kill him.
I know, right?
And it's like that incident pushes him over the edge.
It's the tipping point.
Yeah. He has to confront the reality of the danger he's in. There's
Yeah.
no denying it anymore.
And from that point on, there's no going back.
Right. He's not just reacting anymore.
He's taking control.
He's taking charge.
Yeah, we see him gathering supplies, reinforcing his home. He's preparing for war.
Yeah, he's not messing around.
And it's interesting how there's this recurring motif of Braxton being drawn to alcohol.
Right.
But each time he manages to resist the temptation,
Yeah.
it's like this internal struggle.
It is.
Yeah, between giving it to despair and pushing forward. It really highlights the emotional toll this whole ordeal is taking on him.
He's grieving, he's angry, he's exhausted, but he keeps going.
Yeah.
You have to admire his resilience.
Yeah.
His determination to survive.
And it's not just about him anymore.
No.
He's got his daughter to protect.
That's right. He's a father.
Yeah.
He has to be strong for her.
And speaking of his daughter, their relationship is one of the most compelling aspects of these excerpts.
Oh, absolutely.
We see her challenging his views,
Yeah.
forming her own opinions.
Uh-huh.
She's not just a passive bystander.
No, she's not.
She's an active participant in this whole drama that's unfolding.
She's growing up fast.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see their dynamic evolve.
And it makes you think about how these cultural clashes impact families.
Right.
How they force us to reevaluate our own beliefs and values.
It's a microcosm of what's happening in society as a whole.
Exactly. And then there are these other players in the story, too.
Oh, yeah, the supporting characters.
Yeah, like Rudy, the gun shop owner.
Yeah, Rudy seems like he could be a valuable ally.
Yeah, almost like a mentor figure for Braxton.
Right.
And Donna, his lawyer. She's trying to guide him through this legal minefield.
Right.
But she's also becoming a confidant.
Yeah, a trusted advisor.
Yeah, and these supporting characters add so much depth to the story.
They represent different perspectives,
Yeah.
different ways of navigating this chaotic world.
It makes you wonder who will stand by Braxton in the end.
Yeah.
Who will betray him.
And as we get deeper into these excerpts, the lines between good and bad,
Yeah,
right and wrong, they start to blur.
they do.
Who are the real villains in this story?
Yeah. Is it the students who filmed him?
Right?
The online mob? The university administration?
Is there something more sinister at play?
Or is there something more sinister at play?
Yeah,
That's the mystery that keeps you reading,
absolutely.
wanting to know more.
Yeah,
And we get these tantalizing hints
we do.
that there might be these larger forces at work,
Uh-huh.
that Braxton's situation is just a small piece of a much larger puzzle.
A much bigger game afoot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then there's the question of his wife's accident.
right.
Was it really an accident?
Was it something more deliberate?
Or was there something more at work?
That question hangs over everything.
Yeah.
It really does.
It raises the stakes.
Uh-huh.
And it makes you wonder just how far this conspiracy might go.
Yeah, how deep does the rabbit hole go?
You know, as we're talking, I'm realizing that this book is about so much more than just one man's struggle.
It is.
It's about freedom of speech,
Uh-huh.
about the limits of justice,
Right.
about the dangers of extremism.
Yeah.
It's a story that resonates with a lot of the anxieties we're facing today.
It really does.
It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about who we are as a society
Absolutely.
and where we're headed.
And it does all of this while keeping you on the edge of your seat
Yeah.
with suspense action and characters you can't help but care about.
So if you're looking for a book that combines a gripping plot with timely themes
Yeah.
and a protagonist who's pushed to his absolute limits,
Then Tenure is definitely worth checking out.
Tenure is a book you should check out.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on to part 2,
Okay.
we want to leave you with something to ponder.
All right.
These excerpts, they show Braxton struggling with whether to use his computer skills for revenge.
Yeah, that's a big one.
He's clearly torn between his morals and his desire for justice. It's like he's standing at a crossroads,
Uh-huh.
and the choices he makes from here on out could have devastating consequences.
Yeah, the stakes are high.
And we see him learning about surveillance techniques,
Mhm.
hacking tools.
Yeah.
It's clear he's capable of some pretty serious stuff.
Oh, yeah. He's got skills.
The question is,
Yeah.
will he use those skills for good?
Right.
Or will he become the very thing that he's fighting against?
That's the question that'll keep you up at night.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore even more of the twists and turns of Tenure.
Can't wait.
All right.
So welcome back to our deep dive into Tenure.
Yeah, we left off with Braxton facing disciplinary action,
Yeah.
wrestling with the loss of his wife.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like things are about to get a whole lot more complicated for him.
Yeah. Things definitely escalate.
Yeah.
Almost immediately we see Braxton lose his job.
He loses his job.
Yeah.
And it's like that really forces him to confront the reality of his situation.
Yeah. It does, you know?
Yeah.
He can't hide behind the facade of academia anymore.
He's out in the real world now.
Right. He's got to face the music.
And it's not just the job loss.
Yeah.
He's dealing with the emotional fallout of his wife's death,
Right.
the worry about his daughter's safety.
Mm-hmm.
And these excerpts really dig into his struggles with grief,
They do.
anger, and this growing paranoia.
Yeah. He's convinced the people targeting him are responsible for his wife's death.
Yeah, but he can't prove it.
Right. It's like he's trapped in this nightmare.
Yeah.
And the authorities aren't helping.
No, they're not.
There's that scene where he reports more vandalism,
Right.
even mentions his suspicion about his wife's accident.
Right.
And the police just brush him off.
Yeah, they don't take him seriously.
No, it's like they're gaslighting him.
It reinforces that feeling of isolation,
Yeah.
the sense that the system has failed him.
Absolutely. It's like he's being forced to choose between giving up or fighting back.
And Braxton's a fighter.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely not a quitter.
He decides to go off the grid,
He does.
takes his daughter to a remote cabin.
Right. A cabin that belonged to his grandfather.
Yeah.
It's like a classic survivalist move.
It is.
You know, retreat from society,
Yeah.
prepare for a fight.
He's gathering supplies,
Yeah.
learning survival skills.
Yeah.
Most importantly, he's teaching his daughter how to shoot.
Right. That's a powerful image.
It is.
Braxton and his daughter in the basement,
Yeah.
surrounded by guns.
It's chilling.
It's chilling, but it's also incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Like they're stepping into a whole new world.
A world with different rules.
Exactly. The old rules don't apply anymore.
And it makes you think about the kind of world we're living in,
It does.
where a father feels like he has to teach his daughter to shoot
Right.
in order to survive.
To protect herself.
Yeah. And it's not just about surviving.
Yeah.
There's this growing sense of anger in Braxton, desire for revenge.
Yeah. He's fixated on finding the people who wronged him,
Yep.
holding them accountable.
Yeah, he's compiling a list
He is.
of targets.
It's his hit list.
The student who filmed him the online trolls.
Right. Everyone he feels contributed to his downfall.
Yeah, and he's not just sitting around researching.
No, he's taking action.
He's learning about surveillance techniques, hacking.
Yeah.
His computer skills are becoming a weapon.
Absolutely.
He's a man on a mission,
He is.
and that mission is starting to look a lot like revenge.
The question is, how far is he willing to go?
Yeah. Will he cross that line
Right.
from self-defense
Yeah.
to vigilantism?
And what will be the consequences of his actions?
Yeah, it really makes you think about what you would do in that situation.
It does.
If you felt like the system had failed you,
Mm-hmm.
that you had no other recourse,
Right.
would you take the law into your own hands?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
And as Braxton is preparing for this potential fight,
Yeah.
He's also building a network of allies.
Yeah.
There's Ross the mechanic,
Right.
who helps him get his vehicle ready for off-road travel.
Yeah.
And Rudy, the gun shop owner,
Uh-huh.
who seems to have a lot more to offer than just guns and ammo.
I think Rudy's going to be a key player in all of this.
I think so, too.
And these characters are interesting because they come from a completely different world than Braxton.
Right.
They're not academics.
No, they're not.
They're people who've seen the rougher side of life,
Uh-huh.
who know what it takes to survive
Yeah.
in a world without rules.
Yeah, they're the real deal.
And Rudy, especially,
Yeah.
seems like he could be a mentor figure to Braxton.
Right. He's got experience, wisdom, maybe even some secrets of his own.
And the fact that he's talking about getting Braxton a sniper rifle
Yeah, that's a big deal.
suggests things are about to get really serious.
It definitely ups the ante.
This book also explores the role of the media in all of this.
Absolutely.
How they shape public opinion.
Uh-huh.
We see how Braxton is portrayed in the news,
Yeah.
how his words are twisted,
Right.
taken out of context,
Yeah. To make him look like the villain.
to make him look like the bad guy.
Yeah, the enemy.
And there's that scene with his father,
Yeah.
who's a former FBI agent,
Right.
and he's basically telling Braxton that the agency he dedicated his life to
Mm-hmm.
is now complicit in silencing dissenting voices.
It's a disillusioning moment for Braxton.
Yeah.
And a stark reminder of how easily the truth can be manipulated.
It makes you question everything you see and hear.
It does. You can't take anything at face value anymore.
And Braxton's being painted as this dangerous extremist, this
Right.
threat to society.
Yeah, the poster boy for cancel culture.
But we see a different side to him in these excerpts.
We do.
You know, he's complex, he's flawed,
Uh-huh.
but he's been deeply wronged.
And it makes you wonder who benefits from this kind of manipulation.
Right.
Who's pulling the strings.
Who's really in control.
Yeah. The book hints that there might be larger forces at play.
Yeah.
That this isn't just about political correctness.
Right.
That there's something more sinister going on.
It's a chilling thought.
It is. It's like Braxton is caught in the middle of a war he doesn't fully understand.
A war where the battlefield is the media
Right.
and the weapons are information and propaganda.
And as this war escalates, we see Braxton becoming more isolated,
Yeah.
more alienated from the people he once trusted.
Yeah, even his lawyer, Donna,
Right.
trying to help him,
Uh-huh.
starts to express concern about the path he's chosen.
Yeah, she's worried about him.
It's like he's being pulled in two directions.
Right.
He wants justice,
Uh-huh.
but he's also risking losing everything.
Yeah. His freedom,
Yeah.
his relationships,
Yeah.
even his humanity.
These excerpts are raising so many questions
They are.
about justice,
Uh-huh.
the limits of the law,
Right.
the power of individual choice.
Big question.
And it seems like those questions are only going to get more complex as we delve deeper into the story.
I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Tenure, and things get pretty wild in these last excerpts.
Oh, yeah. Things definitely escalate. Braxton's not content to just wait around. He decides to take the fight to the enemy.
He infiltrates an Antifa meeting.
I know. Talk about taking the bull by the horns.
Right.
He's disguised. He's armed. He's ready for a confrontation.
Yeah, he's like stepping into the lion's den trying to expose the people who've been pulling the strings.
It's a high-risk move,
It is.
and it doesn't exactly go as planned.
Yeah, he's discovered.
Uh-huh.
And there's this brutal fight scene
Yeah.
where he barely manages to escape.
You get a real sense of how dangerous these people are,
Yeah.
how organized and ruthless they can be.
They're not messing around.
No, they're not.
And that whole scene is so tense.
It is.
It really highlights the constant danger that Braxton is living under.
Right. He's paranoid. He's constantly looking over his shoulder, unsure who to trust.
He's lost his job, his community, his sense of safety.
Yeah. It's like he's traded one kind of pressure cooker for another.
But in the midst of all this chaos, we're introduced to a new character,
Oh, yeah.
Ronan.
Ronan the hacker.
Yeah, the hacker.
He's a crucial ally for Braxton.
Yeah, he's got the skills and the connections
Mhm.
to help Braxton gather intel, track down his enemies,
Right.
even provide some pretty sophisticated surveillance tech.
Ronan's a fascinating character. He's
Yeah.
got this almost detached clinical approach to the situation,
Yeah,
which is a stark contrast to Braxton's raw emotion.
it's a good balance.
It is, they make an unlikely pair,
Yeah,
but there's a real sense of partnership building between them.
it's like they're forming their own little counterinsurgency unit,
Right.
each bringing their own unique skills to the table.
Exactly. Braxton's got the tactical experience, the anger, the drive for revenge, while Ronan has the technical know-how and the ability to see the bigger picture.
And speaking of revenge, That seems to be the driving force for Braxton now.
It does.
The grief over his wife's death,
Uh-huh.
the anger at being wronged,
Uh-huh.
it's consuming him.
Yeah, you can see him wrestling with the morality of his actions.
Yeah.
But he feels like he has no other choice.
Like he's standing on the edge of a precipice.
Right.
And the only way forward is to jump.
To take that leap of faith.
Yeah, and these excerpts show him questioning his actions.
Yeah.
But the momentum is building.
Uh-huh.
He's losing control.
He's becoming the thing he hates.
Yeah, vigilante operating outside the law.
And the book doesn't shy away from the moral complexity of the situation.
No, he doesn't.
It forces you to ask yourself, what would you do in that position?
Where's the line between justice and vengeance?
It's a tough question.
It is, and it's not just about individual morality.
Right.
The book also shines a light on the hypocrisy of the media.
Yeah, there's that journalist, Faye Weldon.
Faye Weldon.
Yeah, she starts investigating Braxton's story,
Uh-huh.
and she quickly realizes that he's not the villain he's been made out to be.
She's like a glimmer of hope in this world that seems increasingly corrupt.
Yeah, she's someone who's actually trying to uncover the truth.
To challenge the narratives that are being spun.
Right, and her investigation leads her to some pretty shocking discoveries.
There's a conspiracy here that goes far beyond Braxton's personal vendetta.
Yes, something involving the university, the FBI, even powerful political figures.
It's all about silencing dissenting voices, controlling the narrative, and maintaining power.
It's a pretty chilling indictment of the state of our society.
It is. The book paints this picture of a world where freedom of speech is under attack.
Yeah.
Where the truth is whatever those in power say it is.
It's a warning, a wake-up call.
Uh-huh.
About the dangers of complacency.
Yeah.
And the importance of fighting for what you believe in.
And in a shocking twist,
Yeah.
Faye becomes the target herself.
I know.
And suddenly Braxton and Ronan are racing against time to save her.
Uh-huh.
Their mission becomes even more personal and dangerous.
The stakes are higher than ever.
Yeah, it's like the stakes are constantly being raised.
And the climax of the book is absolutely explosive.
It is. Braxton finally confronts the mastermind behind this whole conspiracy.
Uh-huh. Ajax.
Ajax, the Antifa leader.
Yeah, it's a showdown that has you holding your breath.
You don't know who's going to come out on top.
And the book doesn't pull any punches.
No, it doesn't.
There's violence, betrayal, loss.
Yeah. And in the end, while Braxton achieves a measure of justice, it comes at a huge personal cost.
It does. He loses his family, his career.
Yeah.
And maybe even a part of himself.
It's a bittersweet victory.
Yeah, and it leaves you with this lingering sense of unease.
Like the bad guys are punished, but the system that allowed them to flourish is still in place.
Right. It's a systemic problem.
And the story doesn't quite end there.
It doesn't.
In the final pages, Braxton starts receiving these letters
Oh, yeah.
from people all over the country.
Yeah.
People who are also being targeted, silenced,
Yeah.
marginalized.
Right.
It's like he's become a symbol of resistance,
A beacon of hope.
a beacon of hope for those who feel like they have no voice.
And with Ronan and Faye at his side,
Yeah.
he's ready to take on a new mission.
A fight for justice and freedom.
In a world that desperately needs it.
It really makes you wonder, what will Braxton do next?
What's next for Braxton Knox?
Is he going to become a full-blown vigilante?
Right.
A symbol of hope?
Or will he succumb to the darkness?
Or will he succumb to the darkness that almost consumed him?
That's the question the book leaves you with.
It is, and it's a question that will stick with you long after you close the book.
Absolutely.
Tenure by Blaine Pardoe and Mike Barron.
A must-read.
A thriller that grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go.
Yeah.
A story that will make you think, question, and maybe even look over your shoulder a few times.
It's a timely story.
Yeah.
Full of action, suspense, and characters that feel all too real.
So if you're looking for a book that will challenge your assumptions, make you question the narratives that you've been fed,
Right.
and keep you on the edge of your seat until the very last page.
Then Tenure is definitely worth a read.
Well, there you have it.
That's our deep dive.
Our deep dive into Tenure is complete.
I hope you enjoyed it.
We've explored the characters, the themes, the twists and turns, and hopefully we've left you wanting more.
We've given you a taste.
Yeah, it's a book that will stay with you long after you finish reading it.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts on Tenure
Yeah.
once you've had a chance to read it.
Until then, keep diving deep.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Keep asking questions.
And we'll see you next time.